Today I want to talk about my skill choices for the troop types in Keener Blades. And we have 4 options. Now I'm going to talk about how each of them are done for me and what are some of the must-haves you need to have if you're playing this KVK format. So we got 5 points that are tied to coalition technology. After certain thresholds, you get access to these potions that are then used to either unlock or upgrade a skill you already own. So in total you get 5 points. You have 4 troop types, so you kind of get the idea. You can't really min-max every one of them, but you have to make a choice on which ones to go for. As you can see here, I have my infantry. I have breach. Whenever I launch or get attacked, I get a mighty shield for 5 seconds. So mighty shield that absorbs 1700 damage factor. Now on the surface this does not seem too much, but what I like about it is it gives me a shield, and infantry has commanders that benefit from having a shield. So things like Alexander the Great, if he has a shield, if the troop has a shield, it grants 30% defense. Guan Yu does 15% more skill damage, and I believe commanders like Sargon even benefit from the shields, but we don't want to talk about Sargon. It's just, I don't want to get the mood. I don't want to get the mood ruined. But you get the idea. It gives you more synergy with other infantry commanders that are mostly all about shielding and benefits from shielding. Now the second part is also quite nice if you get out of position. Ideally use this skill before you get like really melted. You use it while your marches are still healthy, so you can benefit from all the counterattack bonus, because counterattack scales with your troop size and attack. So overall, I do like this skill. I much prefer it to the healing skill that is mostly used, but it's something that I don't see worth upgrading, because upgrading is just a bigger shield. And it's not a bigger shield. It's you take 30% less range damage while the skill is active. So if you really like being the shield for the alliance, for the kingdom that you're just breaking out to get the siege marches out, I could see the value in this, but overall I think there are better options to upgrade. So overall, pretty cool. I don't mind, I don't regret this choice, and I'm gonna quickly show you how it looks like. I do have it on cooldown. No, I don't have it on cooldown. So here's how it looks. You pop it while you're healthy. So here we go. And then you're gonna see an effect, like this glowing effect, this right here. You can see you're not taking damage in this turn because it's absorbed by the shield. And you get the shield after that. Looks cool. That does the job, though not really needed to upgrade. Next up is Cavalry. A killer has some creative options. You can be invisible. You can have more march speed. But I took the most basic choice because it is the easiest to use and you don't have to worry about it. You just click on it and you deal more damage. So whenever this by the way launches right away when you're entering combat if you just use a skill. So this has quite a good benefit, and the upgrade skill is noticeable, I believe. It's 700 extra damage factor. And I think this is best used if you are swarming a pass, because this is going to give you the extra DPS to get the pass sooner. We've done this in our KVK and it definitely helps to get it faster. I'm going to quickly show you how it looks like on the field. Let's see, where is our barbarian? Alright. Obviously doesn't have any defensive capabilities like the counterattack from infantry, but Cavalry is very mobile. You can get out of danger relatively safely, and obviously this is the skill you also want to use when you're healthy, because you just have more chances to do more damage. As you can see the animation right here, you can see while this is valuable for something to quickly swarm, like a flag for example, or a pass, and it's easy to use, very effective, and it gets you good reports. I can attest to that. If I use this and my march is not picked on, I get really good reports. So this is a very good candidate to upgrade. But moving on to archers. Archers are tricky because, while they're good, they're squishy. So I had my doubts on upgrading the skill because archers tend to really die fast and get out of position even faster on the field. I think this skill is so good that it's worth doing it because my pairing was Zook with Philip. And what this skill does, it ramps up the skill damage, and if you're at max stacks, you get healing, which is able to sustain you. And if you upgrade it, you get 20 rage per turn while this skill is active, and this carries over. So you're going to be able to machine gun the rage. And with Zook Philip as my march of choice, I'm going to be all that AoV and all that AoV buffs and debuffs if I can keep the march alive. And when I do manage to keep it alive, it really pops off. So I'm going to quickly show you that as well. I'm just not fortunate with the barbarian spawns. But I tested this before. I actually used it in battle, and I found it to be so broken. And once again, it takes a bit more cautionary micro when using this march because archers are just very vulnerable on the field right now. But if you pop this right away, you're going to see the rage bar fill up very quickly. I think if I had, at one point in time, I had horn and drums on this march, and I got on like 6 turn skill cycle. And obviously it ramps up. And with the Philip double activations, I was able to keep my other marches alive and even deal more damage. So I found this to be the main reason why I upgraded this skill, because it's not just benefiting my own march, it benefits all my marches around it. And it was worth the risk of getting hunted down by the other marches, but that's a risk I took, and I don't regret the choice. I really don't. I think this is a skill. If you use Zook Philip, it is a very good skill to upgrade and to use. Now, we've come to the most broken skill in this KVK. And it's funny enough, it's Siege. So Devastate, the first part, it's alright. You're not going to be using this for this purpose. You're going to be using it for the second part. Whenever your troop launches a ranged basic attack against an enemy, flag, or fort, you will reduce the durability up to 30%. So if it's a fort, you're looking at 46,500 durability, but with the new update, that's going to be 30,000 because the new forts are 100k durability. So you're going to be able to even burn out these forts faster than usual. And it scales up with your siege unit attack and units in your march. So obviously people who have higher tech, bigger capacity are going to be able to nuke things down faster. And when I read this for the first time, I thought you would take counterattack damage, but I was wrong. You don't take any damage. The only real downside is it leaves you vulnerable to people pouring in and killing the march, because it's very high value and very bad value if you keep it attacking. If you're on the other side of the attack, you want to kill this off as fast as possible. And this skill, I've been told this should be a default skill in every KVK from now on, but only to be used against forts. And I don't hate the idea. It would certainly accelerate the rate of the fighting and the burning, because I know by myself, if I see a fort burning, I'm not there to really just keep an eye on it all the time. I just find it boring. But this will keep it more interesting. It will make it faster, more fast-paced, more fighting. So I don't hate the idea of being this permanent in every KVK as some part of crystal technology. I think this is a cool idea, but obviously it might need some refinement, because if you have a lot of farms, if you have a lot of people with range, you will have an advantage over people who don't. So this is pretty good. For flags, you need like 2 of these siege marches with this skill, and you're gonna burn it down to the maximum value. But for the forts, it depends on your march, how much attack it has, how much troops it has. But overall, I would say around 5 or 6 of these siege marches on a fort, it will get the job done, as long as you get the full 5 minutes of each skill, and if you can protect it well enough. So I don't regret moving into siege, especially in this KVK, because it brought me a lot of value in options, but also a lot of good utility on the field, because it gives you an option to nuke down things faster. You don't have to wait for them. And overall, I'm quite happy with all my choices here. I don't think if I ever go into Keener Blades again, I don't think I'm going to switch anything. I'm probably going to keep it at this investment as well. I might prioritize getting Siege first, because Siege is the last thing I got. I could probably get away from using things like the infantry attack or even a cavalry, but cavalry can be really good if you have like auto primary. So it's kind of even more machine guns on the field. But overall, all these skills are quite cool. It adds more depth to the game. It adds more customization. I like this KVK for this reason. But I'm going to make a dedicated video about how this KVK format needs to be improved, because there are some very visible things that can be really refined better to have a better KVK experience. So with all that said, thank you for watching. Consider subscribing if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.